All right, I think we're live again. Let's make sure sounds okay. All right. I think I figured out the issue. Which is cool. Man, Friday afternoon, trying to finish up work. Hey, Pinto Beans is here. What's up, Pinto Beans? Thanks for saying hi. Oops. Jamin says a little more familiar setting. It's the same setting. Pro 21 is back. What's up, Pro 21? Let me just confirm one thing. Okay, well, either way, I think I have what I need. So that seems good. So now we're going to duplicate that piece. Oliver says, I love your videos so much. Thanks so much, Oliver. I appreciate you saying that. We are always trying to get better and, you know, keep making videos that are entertaining and engaging and motivating. What did 50 Cent do when he was hungry? 58. Nice. I went golfing for my second time last weekend. Why aren't you playing golf? Great question, Pro 21. The reason is because I have to do this work because I have another job. However, if we keep doing these live streams and you guys keep liking the videos, eventually the goal would be to not have to do this job and just make content and live stream and talk about things that are important to me that I think are beneficial for the world, like sobriety and, you know, tools for mental health, things like that. Hey, Mr. Strange Man, just want to tell you that I'd die for you. Well, I appreciate the support, although I think it sounds extreme. But I've been to the range every day the last 2 weeks, so hopefully you do better tomorrow. Definitely. There's always optimism for tomorrow, right? Pro 21 said that is smart. Yeah, yeah, paying my bills. We like to do that. I'm actually going to delete this one. that. There we go. For some reason, I trust you with my life. Well, I will take the vote of confidence, despite my feeling of maybe not having earned it. Jaden says, love the golf content. If you ever attempt to golf in Laredo, Texas, you will be erased. What does that mean? Mason said hi. Hey, Mason. Mason says, hi, I'm new. Welcome. I'd let you babysit and be comfortable. Well, that's a nice vote of confidence. Washing machines live longer with Calgon. Tell me more, Cyber. Hey, Daftar's here. Mason said hi. You seem cool, by the way. Thanks very much. Just hanging out on a Friday afternoon, doing some work, putting the grind in. Usually we're playing golf. Vibe Central, did you fart today, buddy? I have farted several times. Jamin says, I'll trade you a round of golf for a lesson. Oh, you don't have to do that, Jamin. Just send me an email or a DM, and I'm very happy to help. You're the type of person I like. Very cool. Your appearance and personality is so trustable. I'll take it. I need some advice. Jasper needs advice. Tell me, Jasper, what can I do? Vibe Central, it's good to release some air. Yeah, I mean, better out than in, I always say, right? Isn't that what Shrek taught us? Ho ho, Green Giant. Do, 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 do. It's the stash. Yeah. Try to raise awareness for men's mental health. Do Movember one time. Everybody loses their mind. I want to see your room. Well, you're seeing it. This is the office where I hang out. Got our putting green set up back there behind me. This is it. Xbox set up over there. Is there a difference between Smirnoff and Tito's? Good question. As a person who no longer drinks alcohol, I don't have a current opinion. However, I would tell you, from my back in the day drinking experience, Tito's always seemed better or preferable. Not very sensitive. Subbed and like. Thanks so much, Mason. No, actually, never mind. That's okay. Your room looks sick, bro. Thanks so much, Vibe. I appreciate that. Should I get the Tacomo irons? If you want to. I don't see any reason why not. I tried some Tacomo irons. They were really good. But I did end up going back to my TaylorMade blades. Hey, Michael Myers is here. Johnny Stash. What's up, Jake? Thanks for saying hi. I know this is a departure from what we typically do on the channel, guys, but I have no choice but to be locked in trying to get this work done to meet a deadline this afternoon. And I thought, you know, if I'm sitting here wishing I had something else to think about, well, maybe we'll just turn the stream on. Your voice is so sweet. Thanks so much. Popeyes or Chick-fil-A? I'm going Chick-fil-A. I can't afford TaylorMade. Well, me neither nowadays. I play the 2011 TaylorMade TPMB irons, and they are quite old and worn. So Tacomo's a great option. It's a good mix-up. Nothing wrong with this content. Okay, I like that, Jake. Appreciate your support. Sometimes it's nice just to, you know, chat, engage with what people have going on. We were talking about, you know, people playing golf this upcoming weekend and some stuff like that. So this one, we're going to make a copy and then rename it. Is Tito's really handmade and from Texas? I have no idea. Looking at the Wilson Staff Pro. Wilson is very underrated as far as irons go, Jamin. Hey, Real Guy's here. What's up, Real Guy? Can you read the wind? I don't think I can read the wind. I try to evaluate it when I'm on the golf course, but I don't know about reading it. This is going to be the transaction file. I'll watch your channel when I have free time. Very cool. Hello, Hugh. Thanks for saying hi. One other thing that I wanted to do. Oops. Switch there. Ram is making irons again. I'm looking at those too. I didn't know Ram was making irons. Mason says, I've been chatting a lot. I don't know why. Well, that's cool. That's what we're here to do, right? This is why this is a, you know, an interactive format, and why I really think live streaming is a super cool way to make content, because there's no do-overs, there's no scripting, there's no, you know, like, hey, I didn't like that take, let's go back and do it again. It's just what you see is what you get, and you got to, you know, just try to do your best to react and engage. This is both spiritually and physically arousing, and I thank you. Well, PGZ, I'm glad that you're enjoying the stream. I'm going to turn 21 next week, so I started doing market research about liquor. Well, I give you credit for not drinking until you were 21. That was not the case for me, though I definitely don't recommend it. I don't recommend drinking at all, to be honest. Mason says, you could get a girlfriend in 1 second, not going to lie. Well, I won't tell my wife that you think that, but I appreciate the support. I am thrilled to be married to an incredible woman. Some days I don't know what she sees in me, but I am much better off, or, you know, I should say we are as a team. We make a really good team, the two of us. I mean, I drank some Bud Lights. Well, it's, you know, that's an option. I've definitely drank plenty of Bud Light in my day. LAT said hi. What's up, LAT? You have a wife. I'm not surprised. Movember. Movember's right. Jake says, it's the stroke game. Gotta rock that stash. Yeah. Oops. That's the wrong time. We're gonna go this time. Do, 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 do. Hey, shout out to you, Oliver. Appreciate you stopping into the stream to say hi and for supporting the channel. Those are the easiest shout outs, right? For people who are supporters and have been around for a while. So shout out to you, Oliver. I'm grateful that you're here. Do, 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 do. I recently had to factory reset my phone and I had a different account. I've been there myself. That actually happened to my Instagram account. Just got flagged as potentially being spam or something, and I got logged out and had to log back in and all this stuff, and it got all messed up. So I said, you know what, screw it, we're just gonna make a new one. What are you working on? I am working on work. I work, at the moment I'm doing some consulting for nonprofits. I work with groups that are doing things like cancer research, and I help them manage their data and their databases. So it is not sexy, but at least in a tangential way, I feel like I'm helping those groups who are doing good work out there in the world. And my round got rained out today. Oh, Putt King, that is the worst. I'm sorry to hear that, my dude. Canceling plans is never fun, but canceling a round of golf or getting rained out is always brutal. How about a good grilled cheese and a bowl of soup? That's a great choice. I love grilled cheese and some tomato soup. I've had that a couple times in the last few weeks that I can remember. Can you please say 6-7? I sure can. I also want to try Honey Jack Daniel. Have you tried it before? I have tried that. I don't remember it being really my thing, although in fairness, pretty much anything that had alcohol in it I was willing to try. I was not a picky drinker. I could go for beer, wine, liquor, all kinds of stuff. And I'll be honest, guys, it's been almost 5 years since my last drink, and I don't really miss it. I don't have those moments of like, man, I wish I, had a drink or a beer sitting here. I still like the non-alcoholic beer. I think that's good from a, replacement perspective to still feel like I'm doing the things that I used to do, but not deal with the consequences of the alcohol. It was because my pin got forgotten. Yeah, that'll happen. Caddyshack, be the ball, Danny. Well said, Point Fire. Oliver says, you're such a good creator. Thanks, Oliver. I appreciate you saying that. I am just trying to do my best day after day and maybe get a little better each time I make a video or edit something or, try to film a little bit better. Because what you see is what you get, guys. This is a one-man show. All the content on the channel has been filmed and edited by me on my phone. There's no fancy team or software behind the scenes. It's just me trying to figure it out. 6-7. Say 6-7. Please say 6-7. It's been 23 days since my last drink. That's amazing, Pinto Beans. I'm very proud of you for making a change. And I don't know what your goals are, but I have really good news for you is that if you intend to, keep that streak going, you only have to do one day at a time. I find that very reassuring, right? I look back and it's been almost 5 years for me, and but I didn't have to do that all at once, right? That would be a gargantuan, unmanageable task. I only had to stop drinking for one day at a time. For sometimes it felt like an hour at a time. Like just, make it to lunch, right? But thankfully that's, part of the process that I've gone through, and it's different now. Cute butch haircut. Thanks very much. Yeah, this is, it's gotten pretty long. I don't know if butch is the word I would use, but congrats, Pinto Beans. Thanks. Putt King's showing some support. So you think it's better for me if I don't start my drinking journey at all? Well, I kind of do think that. If you're not already a drinker, I would never advise someone like, yeah, just start doing it. Because the inevitable result is that you will end up drinking more and more and more if you want to achieve the same effect. And I want to be clear, like there are millions of people who drink socially and don't have an issue with it. It doesn't affect their lives. However, I think there is lots of data that tells us we know now what the effects of alcohol on the body are. And lots of us, simply chose to ignore that. But it's extremely detrimental to lots and lots of systems in your body, your sleep, your digestive system. It is basically just, poison, right? We're slowly poisoning ourselves to feel funny or, to get drunk, right? That's all you're doing is poisoning yourself. 5 years is awesome. Thanks very much, Pinto Beans. It is pretty cool to be coming up on a milestone like that for me as someone who was, I always jokingly say I'm a retired professional when it comes to drinking. I was really good at it for a while and I went out on top. I had the privilege to play around with an Irishman who only used 3 clubs, natural golfer. He shot a par 72 after 18 holes with 3 clubs. That's incredible. Hey, Sina's here from Spain. ¿Cómo estás, Sina? Suleiman, yeah, I totally agree with you, but I want to have cool stories for my kids. Well, Suleiman, I have great news for you. I have some fun stories from when I was drinking, but I also have lots and lots of awesome stories and fun moments and memorable times from things when I wasn't drinking. That's a pretty normal concern or fear that people have. I remember feeling that. And just that concern of like, are fun things still going to be fun? Am I still going to, enjoy hanging out with people and going out and doing stuff? The answer is yes. Like if things are fun, concerts, golf, however you choose to spend your time, those things are still fun even without drinking. You could make some amazing memories, with like-minded people who don't drink. Again, I'm not telling you, what you should or shouldn't do, but I don't want you to think like, oh, I won't have cool stories or my life will be boring if I'm not a drinker. There's some value, I think, to stability and clarity. And, I used to have such bad anxiety waking up after a night of drinking. Like, did I say the wrong thing to somebody? I don't know. I don't remember. Like having to text your friends, like, what happened? How did we get home? So those aren't like fun stories, right? Cena says, I played at the Institute in the Bay Area. You should look it up. Super exclusive. Only 50 members, with Steph Curry being one of them. That's very cool, Cena. I'm going to look it up right now. The Institute, San Francisco Golf. Stretching over 8,000 yards. How did you get that experience, Cena? That's very cool. Hey, Elka's here. Why is everyone saying say 6'7"? I don't know. I know it's a trending meme that supposedly doesn't really mean much of anything, but my uncle is a member, a caddy for each person. Very cool. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is remove some duplicates. Mason, I said something, by the way. Oh, sorry, if I missed your comment. Oh, Billy. If I missed your comment, guys, just drop it again in the chat. Sorry about that. Caviar and snacks at the turn. That seems a bit gratuitous. I don't know if somebody even offered me caviar on the golf course, I might be like, I don't know, do you have a protein bar? Did you check out the course? Yeah, I just looked at these photos. It looks insane. It says it's the longest course in San Francisco. Or sorry, in California. It looks absolutely stunning, Cena. If your uncle ever wants to send me out, we can film some content out there. I think my favorite course ever is the Wynn in Vegas. I played the Wynn course. I thought it was fun. Some of the holes are a little forgettable, but the views are great. Have you or anyone in the chat golfed in Colorado? I don't think I've golfed in Colorado. I've spent a bunch of time in Denver for work back in the day. It's a really cool city. And did some hiking with my now wife in Boulder. But I don't think I've played golf out there. Supposedly there's a new, I think it's called The Ranch. Something like that. There's a new dunes course going in outside of Denver that's supposed to be really cool. Cena, are the greens as cool as they look in these pictures? Because I'm seeing some very, very cool photos. Mason, I said something if you didn't notice. Oh, I saw you said, Mason said, I don't know why everyone's saying 6'7". Yeah. And then you said star Billy. Maybe it didn't come through, Mason. Because I only see the one with the star that says Billy. Suleiman says, I appreciate your honesty. Your advice really changed my way of thinking now. Well, that's pretty cool. So if you're about to turn 21 and you haven't, been a drinker or started drinking, it would be irresponsible of me to say, like, yeah, just do it, And again, I think it's normal for people to experiment with things like drinking. Stop testing my boy. What's the matter, Jake? I'm not going to tell you guys I have all the answers, but I did have that experience. I have been a heavy drinker. I started drinking pretty heavily as soon as I got to college, and was basically a functioning alcoholic from the time I was 18 until I quit at 27 or 28. Justin says, I did Denver for a couple of years, but it wasn't my vibe. That's totally fine. Mason, I don't think your comment came through. Can you say it again? Just whatever it was that you said. Hey, John, what do you do when it comes to nonprofits? Great question, Colby. Right now, I work on the CRM side of things. So I help with their databases and making sure that all the financial stuff on the back end is all structured and the system architecture is set up in a way that makes it easy for the front-end users to access the data they need and make sure that all their donor information is clear and concise. And as rewarding as this work is, I think, like this conversation I'm having with Suleiman where, like sharing my experience and talking about things can have a direct impact on people's lives. And we've had some of that already. People saying like, hey, I heard you talking about your experience and I decided to make a change and get sober. Or maybe in this case, like not even start drinking at all. That to me is just incredibly rewarding. And it feels like I'm having a very direct, tangible impact. And that's why over the last couple months, my thinking has really shifted from, I said I got timeout for saying play Billie Jean by a moderator live. I'm so angry. Why are you angry, bro? John, do you see me? If you do, I said something. Well, I'm trying to keep up, bro. I think you might have got timed out or it didn't come through. I'm trying to keep up. Sorry, guys. I live on the western slope of Colorado, way better than the Denver side. There you go. Shit's hard. It is hard, Jake. It definitely can be hard. And I try to be pretty honest about that fact, right? When I make videos about, changing your life or deciding to make a change, I'm never going to sit here and tell you guys, oh, it'll be easy. Like just flip the switch and you're good to go. Sorry, Mason. I think you should be good now. I don't know if there's even any mods in here at the moment. Sometimes these things just happen. You said play Billie Jean? I don't know if I'm allowed to play music on the background of the stream. Justin says, I just hit 4 years sober. Alcohol is poison. The fun ended a long time ago. I'm really proud of you, Justin. That's incredible work. 4 years is really something you should be proud of. But to finish my thought, guys, I think, knowing that there's an opportunity to continue having this type of impact, if we can build this platform and find some partners who are willing to go on this journey with us, I would love to find a way to make this my career and try to have an impact directly on people by sharing my experience and wisdom. Colby says, I appreciate your openness and honesty. I smoked weed for almost 20 years straight and finally quit, and now the smell makes me sick. Well, that's great that if you had something that felt like holding you back and you were able to make a change and stick with it, that's awesome. I think there are things, everyone has something that they are susceptible to, right? For me, it was alcohol. For some people, it's cannabis. For some people, it's other kinds of drugs. For some of us now, it's golf, right? But I've never had a problem with any other substances like I did with alcohol, right? I just could never get enough. It was like gasoline for me. If I was a combustion engine, it was just, keep pouring it in there. We're just going to keep going, keep doing more and more. Hey, Squirrel Snipers here. Greetings, beautiful souls from across the pond but under the same skies. Terry Webster said hi. What's up, Terry? I'm sure you could hum a little Billie Jean. It's probably good. I don't know if I know it, though. Billie Jean is not my lover. Is that it? Billie Jean is not my lover. Do you have a general advice for early 20s? Yeah, my general advice for your early 20s, try a bunch of different things. You know, try to travel, go see some other places outside of your home country if you can. Be open to meeting new people and exploring different ideas. When I look back, I was so focused on like, I just have to get a degree and get a job, start working and paying off my student loans. And I was just on this track and I didn't really take any time to think like, well, what do I want to do or what excites me? And it wasn't until really in my 30s that I started more doing things for myself and things that I'm excited about. I subscribed. Something in the algorithm line, so I found your channel when I stopped drinking and started golfing. What are the chances? Well, Pinto Beans, that is, you know, sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways. And rather than question it or try to figure out, my approach is usually just like, hey, this is a great thing. Let's keep it going. And I'm happy you're here. You know, this is a lot of what my content is about, is using golf as a platform to talk about these things that are stigmatized and I think shouldn't be, right? So many of us experience these things, whether it's, you know, anxiety and depression or substance abuse. My experience with alcohol, so that's what I talk about. You know, I talk about struggles with ADHD and things like that sometimes. Golf is just the container for these things, right? I believe that the stigma around them could be lessened or made less severe in a way that would be beneficial to people if we had open and honest conversations about them. Like, what is it really like? What does it feel like? How do you do it? You know, so that's what I'm here to try and talk about. Colby says, I think your honesty is what allows people to relate and is ultimately will help them possibly get over their own vices, or at least could help them if they're struggling. Well said, Colby. Oh, Jamin agrees. Hey, Moto King is here. Joining in, why are you sitting down? Great question. I know this is unusual for those of you who are used to seeing me, you know, hitting golf balls or hitting putts, but I had some work to do. So I was sitting here saying, well, maybe I'll just turn the stream on and chat with some people and see what's going on. So that's what we're doing, Moto King. We're just chatting, hanging out, staring at Excel spreadsheets, trying to make the data say what it's supposed to say. Salas is here. What's up, brother? Colby says, I don't know if you're religious, but I've heard it put that when you're honest, open, and transparent, that's what allows others to see Christ in your life. Shout out to you, Oliver. Thanks for still being here. I'm happy I found your channel, Johnny. Keep going. Thanks, Pinto Beans. My daily life is basically classes, study sessions, and gym. After that, my energy is 0%. I think it's okay to be, you know, pretty intensely focused on things like that, to have a good routine. And, you know, if you're in school still, to focus on that. I think that's totally fine. Greetings. How is the consultant business doing? It's doing okay, I would say. Because of the state of, you know, the world and the economy, it's hard for people to be as philanthropic as they might be otherwise. So there is something that in my industry we call the giving crisis going on. So my work is slow, and if you guys have been following the channel, you've heard me, you know, pretty openly discuss some of the financial difficulties that has caused, you know, for me personally, and you know, the challenges that I've had to go through from leaving my last career, which was very lucrative, but ultimately, you know, I just couldn't stomach knowing that I was spending my time making life harder for other people. working in a private equity finance job that was basically betting on cost of living increasing for everyday average people in housing. But that's okay, right? I would make that choice again, even knowing what I know now. Damn squirrel, that's deep. I feel like you may be my East Coast twin, getting over vices, golf, and ADHD. Yeah, there's a lot of us out there. Golgotha is often seen not just as a physical place, but as a state of consciousness or a spiritual location within the individual where the old self is crucified for a spiritual awakening. That is a very interesting concept, Squirrel Sniper, and one that resonates with me quite a bit. I was talking about this in therapy a couple days ago. Quick plug for therapy, guys. If you've never tried it, definitely worth a shot. It's been a huge tool for me. But I was talking about this, like this being mortified at this old version of myself. And my therapist was like, that's totally okay. That's how growth happens. You're not going to be the same version of yourself. And if you were the same as you were 10 years ago, that would be kind of sad, right? Brokies. You look coffee addicted. Well, I have bad news for you, bro, because I gave up caffeine maybe 6 months ago now. So I don't drink any coffee anymore. I used to love it. I drank tons of coffee. I took the week off from work to do absolutely nothing. It's nice having to not feel like I have to be somewhere, have to do something. I went to Chick-fil-A. That's a great way to spend your time off, Justin. I think we should normalize just taking time for yourself to recharge and reset. Nothing wrong with that at all. Tomorrow I'm going to the course. Any tips? Oh, just try to have fun out there, right? And there's nothing you can really do as far as like preparation or working on your game, 24 hours ahead of time. Maybe go look at the course if you want to play well. Oh, exactly right, Moto King. Thanks for answering Jake's question. The light is inside us, not an external light that saves us. We recognize our own true light. I like that, Squirrel Sniper. You look like Larkin from The Heat. I don't know about him. Oh, Lord, not another rabbit hole to go down. We should have a day to just sleep. I think so, too, sometimes. I definitely think so, too. Big fan of the eternal light, my brother. Most importantly, have fun. Exactly right, guys. So to finish the thought, yeah, it's, for my industry, it's been kind of a tough time. But that's why I am more than ever, convinced that because of my perspective and some of my experience, that there is an audience and a platform here on YouTube or, with social media more broadly to, try and make this a career. And I don't know if that's, finding brands that resonate, with what I'm talking about and want to work with us, or, doing coaching one-on-one, or some of all the above. I don't know exactly what the answer is, but that's kind of the next step of what I'm working to figure out. And, but I couldn't do that without your guys' support, you guys being here and supporting me and saying, yeah, this resonates. This is important stuff and something that people need to hear. How are you functioning without caffeine? The first 2 weeks was tough, I'll be honest. The first 2 weeks was definitely tough. Some of the headaches and the withdrawal symptoms. But to be honest, my perspective is I kept waking up feeling like I had this debt to pay. Like, if I don't pay my 2 cups of coffee debt, then I'm going to have a bad day. And I just didn't feel necessarily like I was getting something out of it. It was just like, oh, I have to do this thing so that I don't feel sick. And that to me didn't feel like a good trade. I make a list of therapy talking points between sessions. It's called Topics for Dr. Terry. I think that's a great idea, Justin. I do something similar where I'll make little notes or just say like, hey, I should mention this. Because life moves fast. It's hard to, sometimes keep track of all the things you want to mention or that are on your mind or bothering you. So I think that's a really good idea. I think also just the act of, writing things down or getting it out of your brain and onto a piece of paper or even a note in your phone that can be a form of therapy in and of itself, right? To put it somewhere else and say, I don't have to carry this around or have it keep bouncing around in my brain and ruminating. I think there's a reason why journaling is so popular among successful people. To be able to, engage with the thoughts or things that are bothering you or on your mind pretty intensely for a short period of time, and then be able to move on to the next thing. Resonance and frequency, it's not just the words of your intention that creates attraction, it's the energy of the vibration of the intent. I like this stuff, Squirrel Sniper, right? I believe to a large extent that a lot of the, we call it, frequency or manifestation stuff, there's definitely something there, right? You have to believe and be able to visualize yourself, at the top of the mountain, right? Or envision what it looks like, because you have to also, that can also help elucidate the steps in the journey of how to get there. Life moves fast and can be depressing looking at it the wrong way. I think everything is kind of like that, Moto King. The glass half full or empty paradox. You can apply that to almost any situation in life. I love to journal. Journaling is great. Creating a miracle, you only need to change your perspective, your perception. Justin subscribed. Amazing, Justin. Thanks so much, my dude. We are coming up on 6,000 subscribers on YouTube, guys, which is still, mind-blowing to me, given we only started at the beginning of the year. It wasn't like I had tons of experience, making videos or filming stuff. I just started. I said, this is a thing that interests me. Vibrations and frequencies are very important in life. 6K is great. Yeah, guys, we're still just getting started, right? This is a process and a journey, and this is what it looks like, right? You just show up day after day after day. It's not, like I do a 24-hour stream and you put in a huge amount of effort and then it's like, all right, well, it's done. That's not how success and progress happens, right? It's an hour a day, every day for a long period of time, right? You can't go to the gym for 6 hours and hit every muscle group and then be like, well, I'm going to be in shape now. It doesn't work that way. You just go every day. You have a process and a routine, and you let time do the hard work. If you just show up consistently over a long enough period of time, that's how you get where you want to be. Mason says, amen, bless God. Thanks for your support, Mason. I'm glad you're here. So that's part of what I'm trying to do is, lean in and do more of this stuff, figuring it out, what resonates with people, what resonates with me, what excites me. The dualicism we observe is the chaos factor, but that all starts from the single self oneness. I love this spiritual stuff, Squirrel Sniper. I would love to, if you have any book recommendations, drop them in the chat for me. I become a big fan of audiobooks, guys. I don't know if, I talked about my ADHD earlier. I have such a hard time sitting down to read a physical book, and it kind of stressed me out for a long time. Like, I love reading. I like, consuming knowledge and educating myself about things, but I just could not, get myself to sit down and read a whole book. And it was 2 years ago, I decided, hey, I'm just going to try audiobooks. I've never really done them before. And I went from reading 0 books in a year to almost 60, just from switching to audiobooks. So that's been huge for me to just, meet myself where I'm at, right? There's nothing wrong with, an audiobook compared to a physical book. It's just different. Are you a finance student? No, I do have a finance degree, though. And worked in finance. I worked in private equity for almost a decade, through most of my 20s. I say that honestly with a little bit of shame. Despite the, culturally, that was like the top of the mountain, right? I had the best job out of all my friends. And now I look back with a lot of cynicism, right? I'm not super proud of the work that I used to do, working in multifamily housing. It was just trying to find ways to raise the rents on average people. And as I got older, I started asking questions and not liking the answers I was getting. And, until the point where I just packed up my office and said, I'm not doing this anymore. I didn't have another job lined up. It was stressful. But leaving that toxic environment was the best choice that I made in a long time. Milo and Otis. I don't know who that is. Think of it like a seed. You can't just flood it. Consistent small drops of effort every day make a huge difference. Love that analogy, Moto King. Check out The Course of Miracles, 365 lessons, one a day. I'm definitely going to put that on my list right now, Squirrel Sniper. Thank you. I think it's A Course in Miracles, actually. Okay. Thanks for the recommendation. Wow, you are really a great man. Most people won't leave that job. I don't know about great. I'm just, trying to do my best day after day. But I do give myself credit for being willing to accept some, personal sacrifice, right? There were, that choice made my own life harder. And I still believe that it was the right choice because, I don't think that's a good thing for the world. I don't think that that industry is helping people. I think that a lot of greedy people are in charge and making choices that are good for them, but not good for a much broader group of people. Lee says, hey man, your bio says about sobriety and mental health. Is this something you have struggled with? Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I talk pretty openly on my channel about managing my mental health and ADHD and anxiety and depression. I've been sober from alcohol for coming up on 5 years now. Morals play a part on a spiritual path. I totally agree, Squirrel Sniper, and I just couldn't look past what was the, like a square peg in a round hole, right? I just, if I know that this is supposed to be a good deal, or, hey John, you did a great job over here, and yet what is the end result of that supposedly great thing I did? Well, a bunch of people had to move because their rent went up 70%, cumulatively. I just couldn't stomach it anymore. I was stressed. I felt like I was making the world worse. And I just had to do something different. And that came at some personal sacrifice and a cost. But that is how progress happens, right? It's not because you don't get to say, oh, I think the world should change, but I'm not willing to do the thing that I think should happen, right? That would be so hypocritical. And so when my thinking came to be where it is now, where I'm like, this just isn't a good industry, I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't. It is the right choice. The system won't change unless people start to think like you. Well, I appreciate you saying that. And if nothing else, from at least in this area or this aspect of my life that I'm sharing about, I want people to know that, money's not going to make you happy. I tried. I grew up without a lot of money, and I thought, well, I'll just, get a high-paying job and be successful, and that will, solve all my problems. And it didn't. And then I became a happy person by doing things like going to therapy and getting sober and learning how to manage my mental health. And I realized that you can be a happy person and not have any money, right? So I just really had to take a big step back and look at my life and say, how do I want to spend my time? What do I want to do? And talking about this stuff to me is incredibly rewarding. When people come and they say, I didn't feel comfortable getting treatment for my mental health, or I decided to start drinking less because I heard about what you were saying. That to me is the whole point of wisdom, right? I had these experiences so that maybe somebody's time or their journey could be incrementally easier. If they hear one thing that I said, or one tip, or one tool that I used. Kyle said hi. What's up, Kyle? Lee says, have struggled with the same for over a decade. I'm actually going for inpatient care for a while next week, hoping to finally get my mental health in check. Well, I'm proud of you, Lee, for deciding to take care of yourself. No one tells you when you're growing up, or really ever in your life, that sometimes taking care of yourself is hard. That self-care is difficult and messy. It's not easy, right? These are things that lots of us struggle with. And I'm not here to tell you that it's easy, but I do want people to see that there are tangible things you can do and steps you can take to make it easier and better. So, oh, this is awesome, guys. Squirrel Sniper, Moto King, Jamin, everybody gassing up Lee. Love this, guys. This is when I talk about like building a community. This isn't, I hope people don't just, check in, watch my videos and check back out. I love that this live stream format is engaging and people can chat and get to know each other, right? Because we are building this support system. And when people come and say, hey, I'm struggling or I'm going through something, it's not just me saying, oh, I've had a similar experience or here's my thoughts on that. You guys are in here too saying, you're not just, you're not alone, right? These are things that other people have gone through. We can support each other. And that's why I'm so excited about building a community. That isn't just like, hey, let's watch this guy play golf once in a while because we think he's cool or he has, a bunch of tattoos and he's a good golfer. Like, there's lots of good golfers out there. But I do think my perspective and my experience is unique in some senses. And I have a willingness to engage with it and talk about it and be open about it because it matters. It makes a difference the way people think about, these issues. Putt King says, we're here to serve. Totally agree. I vote for you to be the CEO of BlackRock. I don't know if I would want that job. Hey, Tom. Happy Friday to you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Very appropriate time to stumble across this stream. Subscribe. Amazing. Thank you so much, Lee. Yankees in 6. I don't know. I'm with my guy, David Ortiz, when he says, "Duh, Yankees lose." I love that. Duh, Yankees lose. Oh, Squirrel Sniper, that's actually an okay comment. You can leave that one from Tom. I stay for the full stream. That's amazing, guys. I appreciate you guys staying and hanging out and, hearing what we have to say. Steve says, I've been playing golf my whole life. I'm 27. My dad drank beers all the time and still does, but he's good at having a few and knowing when to stop. I'm the opposite now, and it's affecting my 6-year apprenticeship, something like that. Well, Steve, it's totally a thing that lots of us have experienced. It's affecting my relationship. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've been there. It's really hard to admit to yourself, like, hey, the behavior that I'm doing or what I'm going through is having a negative effect on people around me. That's really hard. I've been there. It's also sometimes a necessary part of the process to take a step back and look around and say, it's not just me anymore, right? There are other people around me who are having to deal with the consequences of these choices. And the good news is that in much the same way as your choices are negatively impacting those people, you have the agency to make different choices and have a different impact on those same people, right? Again, that doesn't mean that making a change and changing your drinking habits or stopping drinking is going to be easy. It's not. I've been there. I've done it. It sucks. Sometimes it really sucks. But it is possible. And that's what I want people to take away from my experience and talking about this stuff is I'm never going to lie to you and say it's easy. You just quit drinking or just quit, smoking cigarettes or just lose a bunch of weight. Like whatever it is. But it is possible. Right? The version of myself, this version that you see in front of you, would have been unimaginable to me 6 years ago. Like the person that is sitting here couldn't have existed back then, right? I've made so many changes and become a much better, happier, different version of myself. But the good news is, dude, it's only one day at a time is all you have to do. It's just one little step here and there over a consistent period of time. Suleiman says, you sound like a well-educated man. How did you reach to this level? Well, I don't know about that. I think I just have a perspective and I'm willing to share it. I don't think I'm particularly articulate. I don't like listening to myself talk or hear these things. Let me catch up here quickly. Mason's back. Rodriguez Taco says, hey from Japan, I'm out here for military. Very cool. Tom, what are you doing? It's 8 in Ireland. Anything is possible. Well said, Moto King. What clubs do you recommend for beginners? I think something that's forgiving. I did see you, Mason. Welcome back to the stream. Appreciate you. It's 8 o'clock in Ireland. Yeah, that sounds right. 5 hours. Coming up on 3 o'clock here on the East Coast. What am I doing? I was finishing up this work, which is largely in a good place now. And I was really enjoying, some of this discourse and hearing from folks like Lee and Suleiman and people who are, working through stuff and trying to be their the best version of themselves. Taco got access to some of the best courses in the world. There you go. Yeah, Japan has some beautiful golf. I was engaged with my business ethics professor about whether or not paying taxes is unethical or not. What do you think? I believe taxes are a scam. I don't think I agree in that sense. I think taxes or, some way of pooling resources for collective good or, communal use is necessary, right? You have to get the money from somewhere to build the roads and the schools and to build the society that we all want. My issue more broadly is with the lack of agency in how our tax dollars are spent, right? Like as an American, it horrifies me knowing that I pay taxes to the US federal government and they turn around and use that money to bomb innocent children in the Middle East. That doesn't feel good. So I wish there was a better way to say, no, this is what we should spend the money on. And I think a larger issue is, the disconnect between the people who, make policy and spend that money compared to the lived experience of everyday people. You may not feel like it, but you're wise beyond your years. Well, I appreciate you saying that, Putt King. Tricker says, hello, dude from India. Oh, very cool. Tom says, are you going to do something else after? Yes, I am hoping to be back outside streaming. We're going to do some wedge work today out in the net after the workday wraps up. So that's probably like 90 minutes from now. What are you doing for a living, bro? My name is John. Oh, hey, Tricker. Right now, I am working, doing some data cleanup stuff. Or do you mean more broadly? I work as a consultant in the nonprofit sector. So I work on databases for groups that do things like try to cure cancer. So I help them raise more money and manage their databases and things like that. But I would say, an aspiring professional YouTuber. In the sense of, nothing in the last year has energized me in the way that I feel energized by doing these kinds of streams and engaging, and then hearing from you guys that it makes a difference, that it works, or that it's, helping you guys change your own lives. That to me is really the most rewarding work that I've maybe ever done. And like I was saying earlier, coming from a place where I was, largely having a net negative impact on the world, to feel like I'm having a positive impact to me is just so rewarding. So that's why when you hear me talk about like leaning into this and saying, I'm gonna post more videos, I'm gonna film more. My poor wife has had to deal with me staying up, till sometimes 1 a.m. editing videos because I just, I got to find the time somewhere. And I know that this work energizes me, and it's a good thing, and I have the experience and the willingness to talk about it. But part of the journey is figuring it out, right? It's not like you just get hired as a content creator and you get a paycheck. It's largely about figuring it out, and that's the next step that I need to get better at. How do you actually turn this into a career? I just saw a Facebook post that is selling a TS3 Extra Swift driver. Well, that seems like it could be a good deal. All utility services have already been paid with insane amount of profits. Yeah. Mason says, I keep getting bullied at school. I don't know why. Any advice? Well, that comment hits home for me, Mason. I was viciously bullied as a kid, to the point where I remember telling my parents, like, I don't want to be here. And not even really knowing what that meant. Just being like, I'm so miserable. Like, I just think the world would be better if I wasn't here. And that can be a really hard place to be in. I can remember, in an attempt to get other kids to try to, to stop bullying me, I would have to say things like, oh, well, like when I go crazy, I'm going to take you with me. So I've been there. It can be really, really hard. My best advice is to try to remember that behavior is not going to be rewarded in the real world, right? And that your time in school, when you're dealing with those people is short-lived, and your ability to, stay the course and keep doing the things that you believe in, right? Whether that's, like, for me, I got bullied for being smart and being good at school, which is crazy in hindsight to be like, shouldn't we, those are the people you should be looking up to. But back then it wasn't cool to be smart or to be in honors classes. I was, awkward, and I was too smart for my own good. I was very naive about the world. So it's tough, man. So just don't be afraid to ask for help, to, tell your parents, to, even, if there's like resource officers or therapists at your school, don't be afraid to ask for help. This is a thing that people experience. I experienced it, and there are resources that you can engage. Let me catch up here quickly. What's your favorite club company? I think TaylorMade is my favorite club company. I've been bullied 4 times. I don't think it's fair. The honest answer, Mason, it's not fair. You might not have done anything wrong. You definitely don't deserve to be treated that way. But unfortunately, those people exist in the world, and we need to deal with them. Not everyone is going to exhibit the, empathy and kindness that I try to espouse and think that everybody should have. And if nothing else, I think one of the most effective ways to combat that kind of behavior is just to show them grace. To say, I'm sorry that you feel like, being mean to me is going to make things better for you, right? It's the same thing that happens like when trolls come in here and they try to say crazy stuff to me. And my response now, because again, I'm in my 30s, I've been through a lot of this stuff, I've seen a lot of the world. My response is like, man, I feel bad for you. I'm sorry for you that you think whatever's going on in your own life will be made better by spreading negativity. Because it just doesn't work. It's not effective. That's not a tangible thing that is going to make your life better. Hey, Paul's here. Joshua says, hey bro, loving the mustache. Thanks so much, guys. Go check out some stuff about Movember. Trying to make sure everybody knows that there are tools and resources available, especially when it comes to mental health, which is a big one for me, but also, prostate cancer and testicular cancer, which are huge killers of men all across the world. So, take 5 minutes and do some Googling to say, what are the symptoms? What are the resources available to me if I needed to, get some help. I don't know about your beliefs, but a lot of your thinking have an Islamic background, which says that you are a smart, open-minded individual. Jesus loves you. Ask teachers too. I appreciate you saying that, Suleiman. I'm not a religious person in the traditional sense. I did grow up in the Catholic Church and went to Catholic school. I don't identify that way anymore, but I do certainly have, I experience on a daily basis a high degree of, spirituality and trying to feel connected to people and nature. I reject a lot of the grifting and the abuse of children and a lot of things that happen in organized religion. That were things that were, close to me or happened around the time when I was growing up in the church. Not something I experienced personally, thankfully, but Yeah, it's just tough. Are you doing anything else after work? Yeah, after we wrap up work and maybe stream a little bit outside, my wife and I are gonna do some exploring around town, which will be fun. Melinda says, I was bullied in school because I was shy and thought everyone would be nice to new kids in school. I was a military kid and moved a lot. I also grew up as a military kid for a while and moved around a bunch. It can be really tough. Totally can. A lot of good folks supporting each other in the chat today. John doing great things here. I appreciate you saying that, Jamin. I've been a lot angrier. I don't know why, though. Well, I think it's normal to... Also, I give you a ton of credit for acknowledging and recognizing within yourself, like, hey, I'm not feeling, my best or how I'm used to feeling. That's a big step in your emotional maturity, to be able to take a step back and say, this is how I'm feeling, and I want to acknowledge that and think about it and maybe do something about it. I'm a crypto hustler at age 18. No, any investment as India monthly, $500. It's huge as my age in India, building something for the future. Nice to meet you. All the best in your YouTube journey. Subscribe, my friend. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. Trolling is just crying out for help. Well said. I was grateful enough that I wasn't bullied, but I stood up to the bullies for the people that couldn't. Bullies are weak. That is why they pick on people. Well said, Moto King. Where are you from? We're on the East Coast of the US. What's normally the age limit on this channel? Well, I because of some of the topics that I talk about, it's definitely not for kids. There's an option, that you select whether it's for kids or not. So, I mean, if I would generally say like 18, right, because of the topics that I'm discussing. But I think that's YouTube's job, not my job. Have you been to Golgotha? I love it. Jesus spoke the truth. Everyone that came after lied. Mason, you just have to be alive. No practice today. We were wrapping up some work, Paul. I turned the stream on and just got to chatting with folks. So we're going to do some practice later on this afternoon. So Mason, I would say, don't be afraid to express, to tell your parents or tell a teacher, or tell somebody and say, hey, I'm having a hard time. I'm being bullied. It's upsetting me. My emotions are different. It's totally fine to ask for help, right? There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Carolus, is it grippy? Tell me more. Suleiman says, okay, bye. See you, my friend. I'm really happy that I met you, and I have subscribed to your channel to join more of your lives. Amazing. Thank you so much, my friend. Oh, you don't have to do that, Mason. Yeah, well said, Jamin. I think, my perspective is I like to give advice or talk about things in a way that is consumable and beneficial for anybody. Whether you're 10 years old or 100 years old. Tricker, in here, what's your salary and average salary of city? I'm so curious about here and where you're from. Well, I don't know the best way to answer that. It totally depends. There's a huge variety of careers and salaries that people experience. Hey, Shadiso Mogili. I hope I got your name right. Hello, how are you today? I'm doing great. It's a great day to have a great day. Right? Your speech are so good. Well, I appreciate you saying that. This is a safe space, but YouTube ain't. Well said. While you are still at school, they are responsible for your well-being and safety. Totally. Totally. Mason is the #1 fan. Look at that. Very cool. Creepy Pig, why are you not out on the links? It's a great question, Creepy Pig, and the answer is because I still have a regular job, and sometimes that requires our attention. So that's what I've been doing, trying to do some of that and stream a little bit while we were hanging out. What is your favorite hobby? Definitely golf. Definitely golf. Outside of hobbies, or excuse me, outside of golf, traveling. I love traveling to new places and trying new food and meeting new people. My wife and I have been to 6 out of the 7 continents, with the exception of Australia is the one I've not been to. Don't get in trouble streaming at work. Well, I've completed the work that I was doing, so now we're mostly just hanging out on the stream. But the good news, Moto King, is I'm still self-employed, so my boss is me. So if anybody's going to get in trouble, it's going to be me with myself. You not ask, where are you from, bro? You told me you were from India, right, Tricker? Where in India? Tell me more. I feel very safe here. That's great. What's up, Joshua? Appreciate you. Yeah, well said, Squirrel Sniper. No excuses, play like a champion. Keep it off the cart path, Shankopotamus. Hell yeah. Love it. Keep it off the cart path. Is a lesson needed to reach that next level? COVID golfer sitting at 13 to 14 handicap currently. Great question, Matt. I don't think it's necessary. I do think it can be very beneficial, you know, to get an experienced opinion or another set of eyes on your swing and your game to really try to keep improving. Glad to hear your boss is a great guy. I appreciate you saying that. India in Chennai. Very cool. My friend, my name is the Great Ahuro. I am from the planet Gabush Blatinum. We are from beyond the walls of Asgard. I have come here to tell you that you, sir, have a great blessing on your life. Well, Pav, I appreciate you saying that. That's very kind. All right, guys, I am going to go for a beverage. I'll be right back. All this talking is definitely... You not ask where you from. Oh, I said, yeah, East Coast. Who's that? Bro got tired. Yeah, guys, you gotta stay hydrated when you're talking so much. Who are these guys? You wanna say hi? You wanna be a superstar? Come up here. Oh, who's a good guy? You wanna say hi to the people? This is Mr. Loki. Oh, and there's your sister, Miss Lily. Everybody say happy birthday to Miss Lily. It's her birthday today. She turned 4. Yeah, you the birthday superstar. You came to get some attention. Say hi to the people. Hi. Kiss? Oh, thank you. She says, I'll give you as many kisses as I want. Right? Oh, you a good bean? Are you being good today? Are you being a good girl? Do you want to dance? Do you want to dance? She says, no, Dad. They're both so kind to you. Well, yeah, they're like members of the family, guys. I never fully understood how people could treat dogs just like, you know, pets. That girl needs a pup cup. She's had lots of treats already today. But yes, we should find a way to spoil her, actually. All right, I hate to do it, but... just given the oh, Indiana Jones Moto King. Dun 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 dun. Indiana Jones was always up to something. Hey, Andrew Ricker's here. Haven't been a while. How have you been? I've been doing great. Paul says, have you done some instructional videos? I haven't. I've been thinking about doing that though. Like I think a series of, tips and basic stuff for beginner golfers could be a fun series to make. To do, here's how to set up your golf bag. Here's how to get to the golf course and what you might experience. Temple of Doom monkey brains. Dog. What are you getting into? Go see your mama. Go on. Paul says you should. Melinda says we have 2 Great Danes and an English Mastiff. Spoil them rotten. Those are great dogs. I like big dogs. My uncle had some kind of bull mastiff that was like a 220-pound dog, and it was awesome. Good idea. Driving, short game, irons, all down to the details on how you do it. Bro definitely sells weed. I've never sold weed in my life, but maybe I'd be good at that. I don't know. There's dispensaries all over the place here now. Down to the details on how you do it. Yeah, I think, even just like a basic, here's how to not slice your driver quite so much drill could be good. We get lots and lots of questions about that. I think it's a very common miss that people have, or swing fault is, the ball going too far to the right with the club face open. So, yeah, maybe we'll do some kind of fundamentals, like a fundamentals series for beginners. I'm always a little reticent because there's so much instructional content out there already. And I don't feel like I'm not a PJ professional. I'm not trained to, give lessons or, really teach people. I'm just a guy who has played golf for a long time and studied the game quite a bit. How you grip is the most important. Totally agree. There's a lot of value in learning fundamentals of the grip. What's your dream in your life, bro? Good question, Tricker. I think my dream is to continue having a positive impact on people by talking about my experience, especially around sobriety and mental health, due to the stigma that exists around those issues. I know that stigma exists. I know it's real, and I know that it's harmful. And I think, if I can find a way to have a positive impact on people's lives, then that would make me incredibly proud and happy. Are you journaling all your ideas? I do have a sheet where I track different content ideas. Do dope. Probably not. People always looking to get better, bud. Your way might make a lot of people better. That's a good point, Paul. There is definitely something to this idea of not, one approach doesn't fit all. Maybe my way of explaining something or maybe resonates with people or, allows them to break through in a way they couldn't before. I'm texting as kind or rude because my English level is so mid-level. Oh, I think you're doing great, Tricker. I think your English is really good as a non-native speaker. English is a very difficult language to master. One thing I don't like about the golf courses is knowing if they are private or public, plus many people are stuck up at courses near me. Yeah, I agree, Moto King. I think it's a big problem as regards accessibility in golf. golf is expensive, the equipment is expensive, the training or lessons is expensive. And some of that is just legacy. You know, there's old rich people who are stuck up everywhere, and a lot of them play golf. But I think a lot of that is changing, right? Attitudes towards, you know, people who play golf and what's acceptable attire on the golf course. Hollywood says, really like the stash. Thanks very much, Hollywood. It's not forever, guys. Don't get used to it. The end of November, we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming. Triple filtered press, Paul. There you go. There you go. You have to be part of the club or not to be in the clique. Yeah, I agree. It's it can definitely be, you know, one of the downsides of a lot of those clubs. Especially, I really struggle with, like, well, the unwritten rules, right? You're supposed to do things a certain way, and you know, everybody knows these rules, but we never talk about them or tell them, like, well, how are you supposed to know them? I don't know how to, you know, do the right thing if you don't tell me. And you know, I'm talking about, like, you know, where do you change your shoes, and like all these kind of silly rules. I feel really lucky. My local doesn't really outfit check. I can get 120 balls for 20 bucks, and they have a putting and chipping green that's free access. Not bad beers at the clubhouse either. That is a really good setup to have, Boren. Just be you. Please make videos about that. Tell me more specifically, Moto King, what you mean. Like, you know, what to expect, like, at a golf course, or, you know, unwritten rules of golf, or things you're supposed to know. Because I don't have all the answers. I don't know exactly what, you know, everything needs to be all the time. And the other thing is, every club is different, which is also tough. I do think we've come a long way, right? There was a time when only white men could play golf, right? Women of any kind were not allowed. People of color were not allowed at a lot of golf courses. We've come a long way. There's still a ton of work to be done, and I'm optimistic that by talking about these things and using my platform, we'll continue making some progress there, because those kinds of antiquated filters, right? Are you a woman? Are you white? Like, these are not things that are going to survive all that much longer. And we can make the world a little bit more fair by advocating for inclusion, right, rather than exclusion. Unwritten rules of all kinds. Okay. We'll make a note of that one, Moto King. Paul says, I was at therapy today, John. I'm proud of you, Paul, for going to therapy, putting in the work, right? It's just like going to the gym for your brain. It's just an intense workout for your emotions and your mental state. And it's not always easy, right? I've had some tough therapy sessions recently. But I always am grateful that I did it, right? That I put in the work, that I made time for myself and showed up for myself. First time, had to wait 11 months for an appointment. Wow, that is really long to have to wait. I'm glad that you were able to get an appointment, though. Sam says, hello, just joined the stream. Thanks so much, Sam. Appreciate you being here. We're just wrapping up the work day here on the East Coast. I have one more meeting at the top of the hour that I'm going to need to get ready for in a little bit. And then I'm going to get out and do a little more practice, turn the stream back on while we're out hitting balls. Your channel bio, the both website is yours. Tell me what you mean, Tricker. Are you golf education specialist? Definitely not. Definitely not. I'm just a guy who likes, loves golf and likes sharing some of my experience and, meeting interesting people from all over the world on this. It went okay, bud. Well, that's great. And remember, Paul, I mean, you know this, but not every, it might not be the first time or the second time where you really have a breakthrough where you feel like you're making progress. Sometimes it's just, you got to stick with it. And, but I'm really proud of you for going. I can remember the first time I actually made an appointment to go to therapy and had everything set up. I was so petrified. I was terrified of like what might happen, what it was going to be like, to the point where I nearly didn't even go. I almost just didn't show up for the appointment. But I'm really glad that I did and that I've stuck with it. And, I did a lot of therapy and then I stopped for a while and then I started again because I thought this is a good thing. I really enjoyed the benefits of it. Who made you get into golf? Probably Tiger Woods, I would say. I grew up as a child of the 90s, watching Tiger Woods just decimate, destroy everybody on the golf course. And I thought, man, that looks pretty fun. So, there's funny pictures of me like as a really young kid with, little plastic golf clubs out in the front yard. In your channel description, I see currently 1.3 handicap. What does it mean? Oh, handicap is a measure of your skill as a golfer. It takes into account the difficulty of the golf course and the length of it. It's basically just a measure of your skill as a golfer. Do you have a membership at a course or do you just pay the one time? What is the best thing to do? What should be about the prices for 9 or 18 holes, cart or walking? These are all great questions. I do not currently have a membership to any club. I have in the past been a member of private clubs. There's pros and cons to that sort of environment, for sure. I really enjoyed the, effectively unlimited access to a really nice golf course. I did not like the clickiness, right? You're talking about, the social stuff, right? I just didn't get it. I was just there to play golf. Want is driving. So it's really, what's best for you, Moto King. I think it's usually best to start as, just paying, greens fees, one-time public golf fees, which is what I do now, right? I just, pay my money every time I go and play. And I think walking is great. It's a better way to play golf and be engaged with the round and get some exercise. However, I do think carts are a great option, especially now. I'm grateful that carts exist because I couldn't play if I had to walk because of the state of my knee. So, depending on the conditions and the type of golf course and how difficult the walk is, there's definitely pros and cons. Paul says it's just a number that puts unnecessary pressure on people. Yeah, I think that's right too. What is your driver? Right now I have a QI10 Max driver in the bag with an Oban shaft. Oban Kiyoshi purple. When you walk, do you walk a straight line to the ball or you walk off the fairway? Oh, I usually just walk, right to if you hit the ball on the fairway, you walk towards, you can walk on the fairway. Sometimes if it's wet out, you'll see golf courses will say you can only drive on the cart path, right? To try to save the grass. The wet grass can be damaged by the golf carts. I'm getting that for Christmas. What do you think of it? I really like it. It's been a very good driver for me. I tested it pretty extensively against the QI10 Core Head and found that I didn't have a big drop off in performance on the well-struck balls. Like I wasn't, they weren't ballooning or getting too much spin. And it was much more forgiving on the off-center strikes, so the ones that were slightly on the toe or the heel. No, not in the basement, bro. We're in my office. You can see the outside right there. That's the outside. This is actually the top floor of the house. My wife and I just bought this house over the summer, first house. Salas says, I love your videos. Thanks so much. You can have mine for free. Look at that. Harper says, I'm getting the fairway wood and the driver. Very cool. How long do you think until the other stream? I think about an hour. I think it's going to be around 4:30, maybe 4:45. I don't know the golf etiquette about where to walk or not. Totally normal. You can pretty much walk everywhere. You don't want to walk, on the faces of bunkers potentially, or in really high grass if you don't have to. But generally speaking, anywhere in the fairway or the rough is okay to walk and put your bag down. Hopefully your handfully on tattoo when you put these not hurt. Oh, it hurts a little. I'm obviously heavily tattooed, guys. But hobby, I've enjoyed it. Harper, how much do you want for that TaylorMade bag in the background? Oh, I don't think it's for sale, to be honest with you. It would be a very expensive price. I've had that thing for a very long time. I've moved it around a bunch. That's an R9 tour bag. Tour preferred tour bag. It's Chazzy's. There you go. So yeah, Harper, I don't think that's going to be for sale. You could make me a crazy offer and we could talk about it maybe, but it would be a price where you'd be like, that's not the right price. It would be the wrong price. If you're willing to pay the wrong price, maybe. Arc Raiders is fun. I tried Arc Raiders. I couldn't really get into it, Jacob. I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 6 with my friends recently. That game has really tickled my fancy. Hello, birthday girl. Hi. Hi, you. You want to come up and say hi? Come here. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Yo. There she is. There she is. Hi, this lady. Hi, you. Oh, she says, I love licking. I love licking anything I can. Yeah, I love it. The price is wrong, Bobby. Do you have any tats that you regret getting? Well, I definitely did. And they've all since either, been lasered off and covered up, which is definitely a thing you can do. Tattoos are not actually forever, like they want you to believe. When should you mark your ball on the green, or do you just putt it? Haven't really understood that. Oh, I think it's a good idea to mark and clean your ball pretty much every time you pick it up, or you go to hit it for the first time. So you walk up to the green, you mark your ball, you clean it off, you put it back down. I think it's a good habit to get into to mark your ball pretty much every time you're about to hit a putt. Have you ever played at Bay Point Country Club in Brandon, Mississippi? And I was just kidding about the TaylorMade bag. That's okay. Excuse me. I don't think I've ever played that golf course. I don't know if I've ever played golf in Mississippi, to be honest with you. I played golf in Alabama at the RTJ Trail. Some good golf courses down there. Oh boy. All right, guys. It is time to get ready for our next meeting. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thank you all for stopping in to say hi, chat with me while we're hanging out, doing something a little different today. You ever cooked burgers before? I definitely have cooked burgers before. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. We'll be back in maybe an hour or so to hit some balls and get back on the stream. Thanks for all your support. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Drop a like, and we'll see you soon.